At the Portland airport, a man in his mid-40s approached the ticket counter. He wore a black suit, white shirt, and a black tie. Calm, polite, and completely ordinary. He said quietly, "One-way ticket to Seattle." When asked for his name, he simply replied, "Dan Cooper." No one knew that name was fake. He boarded the plane, took his seat, and ordered a whiskey and soda. He flipped through a newspaper, blending in perfectly with the 36 passengers and 6 crew members aboard. A short while later, flight attendant Tina Mucklow walked up to him with a smile. "Would you like anything else, sir?" "No, thank you," he said calmly, handing her a small folded note. Tina assumed it was a phone number. Passengers sometimes did that, and slipped it into her pocket. But the man leaned closer and whispered, "Miss, you'd better read that note. I have a bomb." Tina froze. Slowly, she unfolded the note. It read, "I have a bomb. Do exactly as I say, and no one will get hurt." Then he opened his briefcase, showing a glimpse of red cylinders connected with wires and a small battery. Real or fake, there was no way to tell. She immediately informed the captain. The aircraft continued toward Seattle while authorities on the ground prepared for what was coming. Meanwhile, Dan Cooper sat calmly, sipping his drink and smoking a cigarette. No panic, no anger, just icy composure. He said softly, "As long as everyone stays calm, nobody gets hurt." The demands. Through the flight crew, he sent his message to the ground. $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, a fuel truck waiting at Seattle Airport. He promised to release all passengers once the money and parachutes were delivered. FBI agents rushed to prepare the ransom. Every bill's serial number was recorded. Parachutes were brought from a nearby military base. As the plane circled above Seattle, the tension in the cabin grew heavier by the minute. The exchange. At 5:45 p.m., the Boeing 727 landed in Seattle. All lights were dimmed. Police surrounded the runway but kept their distance, afraid to trigger the bomb. A man approached the plane with a bag containing the cash and parachutes. Cooper inspected the money carefully, counted the bundles, and nodded. "Good," he said. "Now let the passengers go." He released all 36 passengers unharmed. Only the pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, and 2 flight attendants remained. Then Cooper issued new instructions. "We're heading south to Mexico City. Keep the altitude below 10,000 feet and speed under 200 miles an hour." The captain hesitated. Such a low altitude was unusual, but complied. Into the storm. As the night deepened, the plane entered a rainstorm over the forests of Oregon. Strong winds rattled the fuselage. At around 8 p.m., Cooper called Tina again. "You can all go to the cockpit now," he said. "Don't come out." Moments later, a warning light blinked. The rear stairway was open. Then came a sudden shift in cabin pressure, followed by a loud rush of air. At 8:13 p.m., the pilots felt a jolt and then silence. D.B. Cooper had jumped. The man who vanished. The Boeing 727 landed safely in Reno, Nevada, with no injuries, but Cooper was gone, along with the money and 1 parachute. The FBI launched one of the largest manhunts in American history. Hundreds of soldiers, helicopters, and tracking dogs combed the forests and mountains of Washington and Oregon. They found nothing. No parachute, no body, no footprints. Just wind, rain, and mystery. The only clue. 9 years later, in 1980, an 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram was playing by the Columbia River when he found a rotting bundle of $20 bills buried in the sand. The serial numbers matched the ransom money. It was the first and only physical evidence ever found, but it raised more questions than it answered. Had Cooper fallen into the river? Did he hide the money before disappearing? No one knew. The suspects. Over the next few decades, the FBI investigated more than 800 suspects. The most famous was Richard McCoy, a former Green Beret who hijacked a plane in a similar fashion a year later, even using parachutes. But he denied being Cooper, and the evidence didn't match. Others claimed to have known Cooper personally. Some even confessed to being him, yet every lead ended in dead ends. Forensic tests on the tie Cooper left behind showed traces of rare titanium, suggesting he may have worked in aviation or engineering. Still, no name ever fit perfectly. The case closed. In July 2016, after 45 years of investigation, the FBI officially closed the D.B. Cooper case. Their statement read, "All available leads have been exhausted. No conclusive evidence has ever been found to identify D.B. Cooper." But the public refused to let the legend die. To this day, amateur detectives, Reddit sleuths, and YouTube investigators pore over the details, analyzing weather patterns, parachute types, and FBI files. Some believe he perished in the jump. Others are convinced he survived, started a new life, and is still alive under another name. The legacy. D.B. Cooper became more than a criminal. He became a myth. He didn't kill anyone, didn't harm a soul, yet he pulled off one of the boldest and cleanest disappearances in history. He symbolized rebellion, intelligence, and calm defiance against authority. Books, films, and documentaries have immortalized his name. Even today, pilots joke before takeoff. Maybe D.B. Cooper's flying with us tonight. Final reflection. For some, he's a thief. For others, a folk hero, a man who slipped through the cracks of the system and vanished into freedom. No one knows what truly happened that stormy night in 1971. But one thing is certain: D.B. Cooper leapt not just into the clouds, but into legend.